Well, hello everybody. The Dark Crown Power and everything we've seen in the last week, post April 13th. I had many works over many years, and we did a lot with residential school genocide, a whole lot with a lot of First Peoples, a whopping education that went right across Canada, as many as we could reach as we went through residential school genocide. And some Canadians, for you to know, and obviously all First Peoples, is we had monumental gains with Treaty 8, specifically people who've gotten settlements. Almost everybody we went through in residential school genocide in the United Nations Security Council. Permanent 5 members, and yes, all rotating members as we got sponsorship by China. Everybody we went through, literally Justin Trudeau followed closely behind with his ministry, and they threw the money. They threw the money. Don't deal with them. Don't associate with them. And even those who associated with us and completed works were quickly contacted, quickly paid off with what you could say are large sums of money. At least they look that way. I'm going to take a minute here because I was blessed. I was blessed in life with economics. Numbers come very easy to me. It's easy for me to go through budgets, economies, analyze. Could have been an all-star accountant. Could have probably done a lot of things in my life differently than I have. And I would have been fine at it. There's lots of things I could have done with my life. But folks, in perspective of what we're seeing across Treaty 8, what's happened in British Columbia and specifically Alberta, when we look at treaty overlaps, and we're not seeing it quite yet in Saskatchewan, because Saskatchewan is now in the UNSC, and we're going to see what happens with that. We watched Premier Danielle Smith back away. She backed away completely from her thoughts on human rights and what she thought her provincial crown entitled to her, what would entitle her to. And she backed away. She backed away right quickly and realized this isn't a road she wishes to go on. Scott Moe hasn't done so, but BC completely went down the road. Their provincial ministry handed over land. And folks, I want you to understand, this is nothing to do with BC's version of UNDRIP. This is everything to do with releasing Crown lands. And yes, 436 square kilometers was released to Northern Treaty 8. First Peoples, they're going to get that. It's something. Others in Alberta, it looks like a little less than half of that in some communities. And billions of dollars, BC, over the next 10 years for health settlement, BC Treaty 8 First Nations, as well as Overlap 7, Overlap 6, which isn't much, but those treaty Indians are going to see $8.2 billion in a population, registered treaty population, on and off reserve. And we can get into all of it. I understand it all very well. Again, I'm very good with numbers. $8.2 billion over 10 years for approximately 130,000 treaty Indians in BC. Those are the treaty Indians, not the unceded Indians, although some communities will see the health applied. Now, what does that work out to? $400 million each year for 10 years, roughly. And to put it in perspective, for 130,000 First Peoples, Canadians, we have to put things in perspective. Edmonton Police Service enjoys a budget for 2,500 officers for the city of Edmonton in federal, provincial, and the municipal budget and federal, provincial grants. They see almost 138 million a year for 2,500 members. Their police stations, their infrastructure. How does that health translate for 130,000? Well, let's just divide it by 4. 130,000 divided by 4, you're looking at roughly 4,500. So, what the police get just in the city of Edmonton, the First Peoples of BC, the Treaty Indians anyway, get about half as much for their health. And I can tell you the health budget in the city of Edmonton is tremendously lot larger than that. I just wanted to do the economic perspective of the Edmonton Police Service. 2,500 police officers on duty, full suit, badge, all of it, all of their costs, and including all not police officers, support staff in the offices, administrative functions, not sworn police officers, civilian. So think about that. Think about that. Not tremendous, but it's in the treaty. That's what the government was supposed to do. That's all we could get out of the children's genocide thus far at this point. In Alberta, it was on agriculture, all of Treaty 8, a lot of them involved in residential school genocide. The UNSC saw tremendous agricultural settlements. So you could say some individual chiefs see $22 million. Some see amounts of $2.6 billion over, again, 10-year periods. And yes, land released. Nothing as abundant, of course, and it does not involve the provincial government. At least not yet. We haven't seen the turnover of Crown lands. And to put it in perspective, I'm sitting here right now in my hometown, Stony Plain. That's the size of land for the town of Stony Plain in square kilometers released to Treaty 8 nations, 5 of them. It's not a whole bunch, and that's Crown land. Alberta is vast and huge, but it's something. But at what cost? I wouldn't know, because they're not returning my calls. Not since all the work was completed. And before people say, I gotta be careful how I say this, because I don't consider myself Jesus, but Jesus is an example where you learn to turn the other cheek. You know the Judas is coming, and you feel it coming, and you know, and you have to walk the line anyway, and that's what I did in his example. I'm not Jesus, I'm not God, I'm none of those things. I'm just saying, folks, that we have to get slapped out. I know all the First Peoples I've collected that did the residential school genocide are extremely upset right now. They're down in the dumps, and I know they're hurt. And these are First Peoples right across Canada, from east to west, west to east, some with me a very long time. And they did tremendous works. And I know it feels like a brutal beating. But this Crown dark power has always been in Canada. It is absolutely in the entire numbered treaty system, entirely. Those at the least have been under it the most pressure. And I learned from Rachel Notley at a pancake breakfast the day that I was disgusted with her. I learned from her, it's about what you can get, and that look, the way she said it to me, and I'm standing there with my daughters, and I'm just gripping, angrily gripping. And I know I'm not picking on Rachel Notley here. It's just, it was the disease of the political system, the darkness of the Crown, and it's always on the backs of the subjects in Canada, those who work the hardest, those who must do the most, who absolutely must give the most, and are least represented by the government, the most abused. And of course, there's the savages. We're talking about third-class subjects, some second-class subjects, absolutely domestic second-class subjects. These can be your small and medium business owners, even large domestic business owners. But then there's also the savages, those defined in the Indian Act, which is all numbered treaty Indians, and what they've been forced into since 1876, that the government wishes never to get out of. And folks, all First Peoples, especially those from residential school genocide, those feeling so utterly betrayed and hurt right now, as you had to live it with me. And I've been living this exploration for 5 years. I've been stabbed in the back by Canadians alike, the corruption of the Crown, so many Canadian politicians in the Canadian political system. I mean, I've probably got 1 million knives in my back. You know, I'm a porcupine of knives. And First Peoples too. And this is where I learned that there is not really any difference of races, that human beings, regardless of religion, culture, ethnicity, are all absolutely susceptible equally to the darkness, the evil of the Crown. It's why I'm building this party, and it's why I take so many on this journey. And you're hurt right now, and I get it. You feel like, what have I just done over the last year? Well, welcome to the UNSC P5. They've been doing it. Canadians who are with me, First Peoples who are with me, who feel like, holy, this is hopeless. This is an unsurmountable mountain. Mount Everest, 10 times the size. It can't be done. Well, welcome to the UNSC P5. They've been doing it for more than 70 years, over and over. And it's why they don't come in anymore to fix countries, unless the world picks it up and the people of the country pick it up, and their cause is so hard fought. All the people band together and they revolt against their crummy, shitless governments, all types, all in this type of system. And you know, they just don't anymore. It's going to be the most grievous of grievous countries. They pick a few and they work on that in a year, even when they're at all odds with each other, as we're seeing with Sudan, what we're seeing with Israel and Palestine and so many other countries. And it's not so many, I should say. It's only maybe this year 5 picked, along with Ukraine and Russia and all of that, and the fight with USA and China, and so much more, and UK in there like a dirty shirt, and France running it into their own narrative. But I promise you, in all of their history, they always come around, and they always find a way. They always do. And we're not going to get there, not with the people of Canada, the First Peoples of Canada, so institutionalized. The only way is this political party, PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists. It is the only way, and it's not going to be fought and won by registered treaty Indians and the band offices and the nations. It's going to be won by the off-reserve registered Indians and unregistered Indians. And that includes, yes, seated and unseated. Yes, it's numbered. And yes, it's the Métis. And yes, it's the Inuit. And we're going to have to do that. What's registered is not what's there. So many never got their registration, like Joe Avery, the enfranchised, those who lost everything. I'm sitting right there, Joe, if you're watching, or you watch later today. You know, it's been a hard week, my friend. And I'm sitting here in Spruce Grove, right at your enfranchised reserve, and I have friends I went to school with from your reserve, thrown away like the garbage, gone, deregistered, completely insolvent, sold away. When I talk about populations, the 250,000 in Alberta, only 124,000 are registered. And that is no accident. And it's no accident that the reserve populations to the off-reserve populations continue to grow. That is by design. It's design. And Canada will continue this forever and a day. And you, the subjects, will pay exorbitant amounts. No matter how much money you don't have, don't worry. They will borrow against you to cover it. They will continue on and on. The only way to stop it, folks, is to unite those we can awaken to the truth of the dark crown power. Stop all the lunatic and radical narratives that only take you back to the crown. And yes, its most registered parties in Canada, all of them, even my old former party. I'm not delusional, not ignorant. I sat with one of my longest running loyal supporters who ran with me in the election of 2019. And he saw my video this morning, and we looked at the registry with Elections Alberta, and that party's got 5 candidates. You can't form any kind of government. You can't even bring forward anything but 7% of the electorate if you're absolutely, completely in those ridings, 100% of the riding, which means a pointage of 1%, which means no representation across the board of the province. They're not the only party. Many parties didn't even run any candidates. Why? Because they're colluded, they're corrupted, they're paid off. History of politics in Canada shows you this. I know they're all dirty, rotten, and filthy. I know all of the Indian Act attachments and those embedded with the Crown, created by the Crown, are just as evil, just as rotten. We're all human beings, regardless of color, religion, race, all of it. All human beings are equally corruptible by the Crown and its dark, dark power. That's why we have to push it all away. All the narratives, all those from the extreme left, center, and extreme right who try to narrate everything but what's right in front of you. The sickness of the Crown that is about a divine elite right here at home that runs your country, that empowers the legislators and parliamentarians to act not on your behalf, but to act on their behalf, their interest, their divinity defined in our constitutional acts of Canada, and yes, defined forever and a day in the Indian Act, and all of those positions crafted by the Crown that makes everyone sick, and they get their money, their wealth, their superiority at absolutely all of your expenses. Divine powers of global elites coming into our country don't come here because they have superpowers and they buy off politicians. They do that. But it is our Constitution that allows them to, because there's no accountability. There's no rules of governance, and there's no how to govern. There's not you, the people, all the defined subjects, and all the defined savages. You all are not there. The divine government, elected in all their appointments, have full say, full control, and they will always be susceptible to the most vast evil and corruption the world has to offer, and they will expense all of you forever and a day as slaves and as savages. It will never end until we, the people, create a political party, or you go on a revolution. You either tear the castle down in their legal system, which is what I want to do, with a party that empowers all the people. And I'm going to finish this late summer. I'm going to do some more work here, and then it's going to be off to BC. Go see the Wet'suwet'en and take them through the process. And the other 20 First Peoples unceded, I'm going to go through all of them and finish everybody in Canada as I promised to do. I'm going to finish that. I'm going to go through BC, and then I'm done. And then it's absolutely 110% this party going forward. And I know people are upset. I know they're hurt. You can hear it in me. I'm upset. I'm hurt. But it's only the 1,000th knife in my back. Over and over and over again. And it will always be that way. And for those of you who came on the journey with me in specific areas we didn't make public, the behind the scenes, the back room, so to speak, who are just devastated right now, I get it. But it's my 1,000th knife in my back. This is your 3rd or 4th, and I know it's sharp, it hurts, it's deadly. But get used to it, and that's why I'm doing this party. And if it means the off-reserve First Peoples, those disenfranchised through enfranchisement, it's funny how they word things, right? But if that's you, you're going to have a place at this party. We understand. We went on this journey to learn it entirely. And for you, those few who came on this journey, you've learned something. Millions in Canada have no idea. Have no idea. You had an inside ringside seat. Take this time. Yes, we can let things go down. Does that mean we're giving up on those children and those people? No. But we're going to lose the UNSC at this point. We're going to lose them as things go, and we see people taking settlements. Now, again, the way they worded it, there's nothing in any of the wording that says they're letting the genocide go, but I know when calls aren't returned and I'm not messaged back that basically the government of Canada's won. And how did they win? By throwing the money, by saying, it's all good, we'll help you with this, we'll say it in this manner, but don't you have anything more to do with that. Don't you overstep the government of Canada. Don't you go onto the world stage in real international law. And for those who've been on this journey with me the closest, those front and center ringside seats, participating seats, you've got to see it. You've had the beautiful opportunity that millions of Canadians and First Peoples will never know, will never see, but you were there to live it. And it's your job. And again, I'm not throwing Jesus or making it like that. It's just, it's similar in what we did, because I tried to follow that path, that example. I'm not Jesus, I'm not God, I'm not saying any of that. I'm not trying to offend First Peoples. But if you ever read this story, it's like disciples, where you're seeing it firsthand, you know now. And when we go forward, it's your responsibility to impart this knowledge as you go forward. You'll never be the same again. And take the weeks and the months to heal and let it soak in. It's hurt. I get it. I'm hurt. It's just another knife, but it hurts nonetheless, and it stacks up. But take the knowledge and you're going to impart it. You know, greatest academics, world peoples involved in major works around the world, and NGOs have come and gone, and people who are old now and they're retiring out, and they went through these, and massive civil rights activists who watched people die and perish around them, or jailed or thrown away. And it took 30, 40 years to get it done. Some of them never lived to see it. And then there's folks who say what you're trying to do in Canada isn't going to happen in your lifetime. That's what the roll of the dice says. But folks, do you give up? Moses never got to see the promised land. And again, so people don't cut things out of video or out of context, out of context, I'm not referring to myself in any biblical sense. I'm just taking stories of history and religion that I was raised with. Moses never got to see the promised land. Was it still important he went through the journey and he did what he did and he got those people out of there no matter how long it took? It's important because somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to go forward. If nobody does anything, it all goes down the toilet, and that's why we go forward. This is my video today, folks. And I hope First Peoples understand that by letting the government get away, by turning your back to this, by using it to win other battles, you've compromised yourself with the most powerful organization in the world, the only organization that could actually step in against your government. And I'm not mad, believe it or not, me of all people, I am not mad. I accept that as you took what you can get, like that shit grin, evil raspy voice out of Rachel Notley. It's what you can get. I get it, the little wins, but at what cost? And what cost your soul and your people? I get it, take what you can get for now. It's in front of you. But at what cost? At what cost? And at some point, the only way you're ever going to see any international action is when you can raise a revolutionary-sized army to overcome it. And I don't see that anytime soon. I don't see that in any realm of anything. And I want to finish with real economics for all the First Peoples and those in charge in the Indian Act system created by the Crown. When the value of money that you got today isn't worth what it was even 10 years ago. For example, 10 years ago, a loaf of bread was 80 cents. Right now, a lot of loaves of bread, when you go around the store, and depending on how far north you go, can range between $3 to $6 a loaf, depending on where you live. What are you going to do when that loaf is $10? Will these millions matter then for so many people? I mean, granted, a lot of people can get rich real quick right now, but what will it mean for the people 4, 8, 12 years from now? What will these settlements really mean? I don't think in 10 years those values are going to be worth the shit and piss that went in, the blood, sweat, and slave tears that went into giving that today, when it didn't generate an ultimate outcome, a way and a path forward. And that's okay. We did the journey. Some little wins here, I guess, for some circles of people. I hope that translates well. But it's in a broken system, a corrupt, sick, diseased system that now, literally, if all those involved with me, and some of you, especially these First People who've seen this through now, you need to realize that this party we're building is the only platform possible for all Canadians and all First Peoples. It's the only platform presentable and worthy to see real change. Now, I don't suspect we're going to win the next election. It doesn't mean we don't do it. It's what I told the Alberta Independence Party folks. But we run the majority. We run the platform. And you hope that those who come after continue on in the works. But somebody has to go forward. Somebody has to challenge the deep, sick, dark crown power. Because if you don't, you never see remedy. And I can tell you this, out of 193 nations, many have seen remedy from a dark system almost identical to ours. And they've seen remedy. Is it all of it today? No. But there are many years ahead of us. Even the United States, after 200 and some years, they're still very far advanced than we are in many, many respects and many, many ways. And, you know, for people who think that America's going away anytime soon or it's a fall of Rome, keep dreaming. That ain't happening anytime soon. Am I disgusted with Joe Biden and Donald Trump's situation these days? Yes. And it's a sad reality. I don't see a fix in America coming anytime soon, which is even more disheartening because it's polluting my path forward too. It's not good. We need a new Republican to come forward, but I don't see it happening. DeSantis getting spanked out. I don't see the narratives, the great works of the United States from the Republicans coming forward for Canadians. We've got to do this ourselves. We have to quit blaming the rest of the world. We have to focus on the political system that is responsible for everything we're seeing in the country. And those who don't see it, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And if you're going with all these other radical narratives, individual policies, and cockamamie ideas of far-off billionaires, that's what you got to focus on. Well, we just got to work within the system. You're already corrupted, or you're completely ignorant and blind. One of the two. I am of the belief it's that corrupted. You're already double dealing, because I look at political parties registered and I see your minimal candidates. I see them. It's hard for me to trust anything you say because, again, you haven't even represented the electorate. You don't want a vote split, which means you want the mainstream crown alive and well. And you're thinking that if you bide your time, you're going to win that crown for yourself. Not destroy it. Not destroy it. Not empower all the people in Canada, all the First People and all Canadians. And remember, Canadians and all First Peoples, these small settlements are pitiful. The size, again, the biggest one in BC, by the provincial NDP crown that went with the Liberals, right, for Northern First Peoples, all of them, an area the size of Stony Plain. Yeah, in all its counties. Not very big at all. Not very big at all, folks. I can drive around that in a few hours. That's it. That's my video. Share because it's the right thing to do. Share because it's credible, it's real, and it's verifiable. God bless everybody. Get it out there. Do the right thing. Be the change, because this is going to be all there is. And if you let the decades roll on, it's never too late with the vast amount of Crown land. One woman called me the other day, and I gave in real economics. We talk about over a $2 trillion debt to all the subjects at the expense of the savages defined. Again, 1867, all the way through all amendments through to 1982 and beyond, as well as the 1876 Indian Act. Over $2 trillion is nothing in the Crown lands, with a tremendous value of $26 estimated trillion just in harvestable resources. You can change your narrative tomorrow. All of you. If you can come together, we the people, you can be as wealthy as the Saudis, the Qataris. You can be equally as wealthy. It's the power that you can achieve, you the people. If you stop tripping over quarters to pick up pennies. All we can do is present the platform. All we can do is finish the journey together. And I hope everybody will. God bless. Share, share, share. Do it. It's the right thing to do. Bye now.